What's up, everybody? Welcome to the No Business Soccer Podcast. We have our inaugural, our primero version of the European reach around. Victor, I know you're a big fan, hype man, of these reach arounds. So let's get right into the juiciness of it. So of course, today we got a full crew today. We got J-Fam, the Brainiac, hanging out in the back. We got Danny P on the ones and twos, and hype man Vic. We know he's sipping on something good, so just tell us, get it over with, man.
I got you. We're going old fashioned today with an old fashioned using the whiskey that is Old Granddad 114, one of the best whiskeys to make an old fashioned with. And I love old fashions so much that I know I'll be done soon. So, brought a second one. We got a 1792, age 12 years here. Really, really good stuff too. So I'll be sipping on that after I get done with this old fashioned.
Yes, 12 years ago. Great age for that.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. Yes, I'm getting there. You know, one day I'll be there. Okay, well, of course, we always got to start with the Austin FC minute. We got a dub. Tell us
on
more,
the road.
Vic.
We got a dub on the road, by the way, with a great assist from Ring. The absolute concrete wall that is Brad Stuver. He saved a penalty, and he had an amazing left-handed save, strong hand save. He looked freaking awesome, and one of the worst MLS All-Star snubs, I think, in history, because he has the most
for the past
saves.
like 2 or 3 seasons or whatever. Every year since we've been a team. So, and didn't the new guy scored, right? I didn't get to see the whole thing.
Bukhari got his goal, and he was definitely very happy afterwards. He was talking about how felt that he was at home because like everybody went and congratulated him, and they were like, "Yeah, you did it," and he was just so happy. So hopefully, he stays there for a while.
He must have had some assholes on his other team. Just scores, they just walk away. I did see how
I was thinking
that what we got some center back from the Nordic region of Europe, and they're like, yeah, he hasn't played yet because it's hot and he's not used to this.
He's from Ukraine. Yeah, he's from the Ukraine.
Oh, that's what it's from Ukraine. Yeah. Okay. He's not used to this. He's not used to this this humidity here. I'm like, damn, fair enough. Like you forget sometimes that these players are real people. Like, dude's like, I'm not used to this, man.
This week was all 105, 104, 106 all week. So yeah, I'm sure he was famished, absolutely famished.
Yes, he was. And well, back on the European side of the house, there's a lot going on. All the leagues are back. And this Thursday and Friday, the draws for the European competitions, the Conference League, Europa League, and Champions League, they're all happening. So we're going to know exactly who's playing who. The schedules, I believe they come out a few hours after the draws are made. And so we're going to know exactly how it's going to play out. Man, it's going to be a lot of fun because, again, if you haven't heard, this season they're changing up the format for all the European competitions. So instead of the group stage, it's just all the teams are in one table and you play 8 games, and it's 2 games from each tier. So was that 2, 4, 6, 8? So there's 4 tiers, and you play like 2 games against the top tier, the second, third, and fourth. And so you're gonna, instead of playing all these games in the group stage where essentially you don't get any good matches until the round of 16 or maybe later, now it's like Real Madrid could play freaking Liverpool in the first round, and they could play PSG the next week. I don't know how it's going to work, but
who knows who Tottenham's going to pull in the Champions League. I mean,
hilarious. Hilarious. Okay, you have to say it like that, but yeah, we'll find out who we're playing in the Europa League. Or is the Conference League? Who cares? I'm just kidding. I love those. All right. So again, we're going to be going through the European reach around, which is essentially going to be a recap of everything that happened in Europe this past weekend in the Bundesliga, La Liga, in the Premier League, the Prem, and Serie A. We're only covering those 4 because it's a lot of work and there's a lot that goes in. Maybe we'll expand it later, but for now, we're just doing those 4. So Vic, anything else we need to do before we jump right in?
No, let's get to it.
Okay, and we are starting off in the Bundesliga. And newsflash, Leverkusen are still good, and they stand on business, as the kids say, as they take down Gladbach 3-2 in their first match back. And go check out that Xhaka goal because, man, he hit the shit out of the ball, as they would say. And Leipzig gets it done against Bochum 1-0. Wasn't pretty, but the points all count the same, so who cares? Hoffenheim welcomed Holstein Kiel to the top flight in a back-and-forth 3-2 match that sees Kremerich get the hat trick and the 3 points to go along with it. How about that? Mainz and Union Berlin play out to a 1-1 draw. Freiburg give up an early goal to VfB, who we'll talk about in a little bit, but they actually go on to score 3 unanswered, and they get the win. So Stuttgart and Freiburg ends 3-1 to Freiburg. Augsburg and Werder Bremen trade goals in an entertaining 2-2 draw. Didn't see it coming. We'll talk about Augsburg more in a second. And Dortmund make an early statement in this season with a 2-0 win over Eintracht Frankfurt. They get a brace from the New English youngster Jamie Gittins, and damn, I don't know what they're doing over there. They seem to have all the great coming up English talent, and Gittins seems like that next guy in the lineage, if you will. Wolfsburg hung around with Bayern for virtually the entire match, and just when it started to think that Company's first match in charge was going to be a freaking disaster and the tabloids are going to be all over it, Kane links up with Gnabry. They score. They rescue the 3 points. Wolfsburg and Bayern ends 3-2 to Bayern. And your Sunday night main event sees Heidenheim spoil St. Pauli's Bundesliga homecoming as they get a 2-0 win on the road to start off their campaign. Sorry, St. Pauli. Love the way that club is run, I guess we could say, but didn't turn out too well for them. But that's what happened in there, Vic. Let's take a look at those standings after the first match day of the Bundesliga.
Yep. And you can see from the table, just as everyone expected, Freiburg at number 1. Nobody expected that, but this is the first game of the season. You know, it's everybody who wins, they're going to be the next champion. Everybody who lost, they're getting relegated. But you get to see some of those names that you usually see on top of the table. Borussia Dortmund's up there. Bayern Leverkusen, Bayern München, or Munich is up there. With a couple of surprises down at the lower at the very bottom of the table. You see Stuttgart, Eintracht Frankfurt, and St. Pauli. This is really hard to do. I'm glad we're doing this first, not when I my old fashioned. But yeah, you see you see the familiar names everywhere, and friendly faces there with Freiburg. And again, first game of the season. We'll see how the rest plays out. And yeah, it looks pretty good right now.
Look, all I know is that I've seen Victor drunk in Germany, and he speaks German better when he's drunk. So I don't know. Just he's got to drink more, man.
Well, that's good.
Okay, well, on to some talking points for the first weekend of the Bundesliga. Again, like we talked about it a second ago, Leverkusen, they're proving once again why they're called Leverkusen, and I'm not making that up, guys. I know I do some dad jokes, but no, that's what they're called. Even the broadcast was talking about it. So yeah, they prove why they're called Leverkusen, and it just seems like it's business as usual for Xabi Alonso's team. They're going to be good. They're going to be fun to watch. And honestly, the way that they're starting off this campaign makes me super excited to see how they do in the Champions League. And we get the freaking draw right around the corner. Man, they're just fun to watch. And of course, our boy Lil Uzi Verts gets the goal. So man, they're flying, and I can't wait to see what else the season holds for them. But unfortunately, my boys Stuttgart, they started so well. We were talking about it right before we came on, Vic, that essentially we couldn't have a better start. Within the first 4 minutes of the game, the new signing taking over Gerassi's role, Demirovic, got to get used to that.
Yeah.
But he scores like what would you call it? It wasn't exactly I don't even know how to describe it. It was kind of like a side twist kind of thing, but it wasn't exactly foot overhead type of goal. But either way, it was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch.
It was really nice.
But the problem is that was the only goal. They didn't score another one. And they didn't score another one for three goals that Freiburg scored. And so going into this season, we were expecting Stuttgart to have a bit of a fall off, not to stay, second in the league, right? But I just hope that this isn't part of the story long term. Obviously, like you were saying, we're making a lot of conclusions off of one match day, but we have to see, because if you watch the goals, Have a couple of notes here. Freiburg's first goal, they seem to catch the keeper off guard because he shot from so far out. So, of course, it's stuck in. The second goal, the dude scored and he was riding the ball on his back. Like he slipped and just rolled into the net. I don't know, it was crazy. And the third one was just a good header from a corner. You know, sometimes those happen. But a lot of the questions coming into the season was last season a fluke, like we were talking about? And then can they do it again when they lose Ito, Anton, Girassi? But for Freiburg, I think how they're going to play long-term under their new manager is the biggest question, right? We have Christian Streich, who's gone, and the new guy taking over, of course, Julian Schuster. He's never coached before, and especially at this high of a level. So after match day 1, man, we don't have a lot of questions answered. Let's just put it that way. But it was surprising to see. Okay, now on to Augsburg. Augsburg were an afterthought going into this season because of how they finished last season. We talked about it in the preview. But let's not forget that they finished 11th for a reason. So even though they were on a horrible, horrible run at the end of the season, they started the campaign last season very well. And man, they started out with an all-out attacking show this past weekend, and they were duking it out against fellow mid-table team Bremen. So, you know, going into that and getting a draw whenever I think we were all pretty much expecting that to not end that way. We thought Bremen would be getting those 3 points. I think that's pretty good for Augsburg. Again, just the beginning, the first game, we'll see how everything turns out, but they seem like they're going to have some fight in them. And I do have to bring up Hunka Hunka Burn in Love, Elvis Rex Bajai. We're going to call him Elvis Rexley from now on because that dude, he scored a freaking wonder goal. And yeah, please check it out. It was ridiculous. Like when he shoots from that far, you expect it just to go into the stands, freaking knock it out of the stadium. No. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And last thing I'll talk about here, St. Pauli. I think were they all hype, or was it their aura? Or you know, you hear about this team so much, you know about the culture more than you do the team, but we don't know if they're good yet. But I think we're starting to understand that Heidenheim is no joke. That they are good. Heidenheim, sneaky good team. After that performance, you're expecting them to do better. In this season, I mean, again, they finished, I think it was 8th last season, and they end up 7th or 8th, and they end up getting into the Conference League. And so, man, cool. Let's see how they do in European competition against, you know, the third tier. So they're going to be in competition that's kind of similar to where they are. So, yeah, I think it's going to be awesome to see them. But, again, we don't know after 1 week if St. Pauli are good, but I think we can almost definitively say that Heidenheim are going to be good. Okay. Vic, anything I missed there?
No, you are very thorough. Good job.
Well, thank you, sir. Okay, well, then let's move it right along. Let's go to La Liga. La Liga. So we had, Celta, they don't understand that we were joking about them being top of the table because they dominate Valencia 3-1. Go check out the goals in that one. We got some bangers, and I'm really eager to see if they can keep this up. Iago Aspas gets the goal and the assist. And what the hell is going on with Valencia? More about that later. Villarreal scored very early and very late in their game against Sevilla, and they took down Sevilla in Seville 2-1. The assists in this game were top-notch. Baena is a freaking threat for the Yellow Submarines, and Sevilla is still on that struggle bus to start the season. Not fun at all. Osasuna take care of business against Mallorca, getting that 1-0 win and taking home 3 points. 2 games and 2 wins for Hansel Flick. I can't remember his first name, but Flick and his Barca team as they beat Bilbao 2-1. It's still weird seeing Lewandowski out there with all these kids. I think it looks like he's their babysitter, but new look Barca, same results, man. Bilbao should be fine. They just need to get it going sometime soon. Real Sociedad left it late, but they get back on track with a 1-0 win at Espanyol. Kubo wins it with a ridiculous solo goal. And it's not looking good for Espanyol. They might be on that track right back down to the second league. Rayo and Heta finish 0-0. And you know what that means, Vic. We don't talk about them.
Nope.
Nil-nils don't get talked about. All right. And oh no, Victor's Voli Doli, they go down to 3-0 against Los Blancos.
I was heartbroken.
They were overmatched, outgunned, and I mean it's not a big surprise, right? What is a big surprise though is that Endrick gets his first Madrid goal before Mbappe does. So that's pretty crazy. I didn't have that on my bingo card. I don't know if you did, but we'll see how it continues to go. Obviously, they're going to be winning everything, so I'm sure you can get plenty of goals. Just hasn't yet. Leganes and Las Palmas ends 2-1 to Leganes, but this game was insane. Juan Cruz with the nasty freaking strike from downtown, as you'd say in basketball terms. And we'll talk about that in more detail later. Usually, like Leganes and Las Palmas, you wouldn't have a very descriptive talk about it, but that's what we're here for. That's what No Business is about, baby. Let's get it. Betis and Alaves play out to a 0-0 draw. And so, again, we're not talking about it. Girona get bullied a bit as they fall 3-0 to Atleti. Check out the Lorente goal. Man, we had some great goals this weekend in La Liga. Okay, Vic, show us that table.
Yeah, and if La Liga has a pretty weird schedule. So La Liga, the table right now, we have Villarreal on top with 7 points, followed by Celta de Vigo, then Barcelona and Atletico Madrid rounding out the top 4. So if the season ends today, they'd be in the Champions League. But Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid in 5th all have a game in hand. So Villarreal and Celta de Vigo have played 3 games. Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and Real Madrid have played 2. So they will play later. But at the bottom of the table is Girona, Espanyol, and Valencia, holding up the base like a concrete slab. Not looking too good for them. But, we'll have some more games and it'll even out as we go, see who gets who's fighting for relegation.
Yeah, and I will say that even though we're talking about match day 2, the table looks weird for them because they started match day 3 today. Like today's Monday, they started games today already. So it's kind of weird because but my first talking note before the game happened today was that it's just crazy to see Celta de Vigo. Like, holy shit, they're doing really good. And before this past game, they played Villarreal today. And so I had a lot of notes here about like, man, they beat fellow mid-table team in Alaves. They pour it on against Valencia in match day 2. So like, this will be the test. This will be a litmus test, if you will, against a really good team. And they didn't get it done. So we'll recap that game a little bit later, but just know that Celta, I was excited for them. They hung around for a long time. It was a penalty. It was kind of but they did lose. So I'm still excited for them. Celta, they're playing very, very well. Kind of unexpected. Unfortunately, they do get a loss in match day 3, but I'm still expecting them to do big things. Okay, moving on. We have Valencia on the other hand. They start off with 2 losses. They're winless in their last 7 La Liga matches, and 5 of those 7 were losses. Barca in match day 1 is understandable, but 3-1 to Celta, which could be a surprise if they end up going into the Champions League spots or the European spots in general. But for right now, Los Ches need to pick it up, man. They are not doing good, and it's getting dark early there. And right behind Valencia is Sevilla. And what is going on? They haven't won in their last 6 La Liga matches, and 5 of those 6 they're losses. So this isn't the Europa League Kings that we're used to. They're usually right in there in those Europa League spots, dominating. But for right now, I have a note here. They're in their we talked about this in the preview. They had their 5th manager since 2022, but if results don't get better, they're probably going to have a 6th very soon because they're not looking good at all. And now let's go back to that Leganes Las Palmas game. As I said earlier, it was insane. For starters, the match ended 2-1, but the first goal happened in the 71st minute, and it was Juan Cruz's amazing goal. You got to go watch it. And then they actually get 2 they get their second goal in the 85th minute, and then there's 8 or 9 minutes of stoppage time, which is insane. There's too much stoppage time. Like, what is going on with this, man? But in stoppage time, Las Palmas get a goal, and it kind of goes back and forth. They have a few shots where they're almost going to get it, save it, be a draw, but no, didn't happen. And Leganes ended up getting that game. Watch the recap of that one. It was a lot of fun to see in person. I wish I was there in person to see it live. Maybe one day, huh? We'll go check out some Leganes.
For sure.
And the last talking note, Flicks Barca, they look promising. Like I was saying earlier, they're fun to watch. It's very different to see a Barca team look like that, but 2 wins from 2 games against Valencia and Bilbao, which aren't easy matches on paper anyway. Valencia, they might be at this point, but we'll have to see. And then so yeah, they played Valencia and Bilbao, and their next two matches are against Rayo and then Vix Volidoli. So, man, I mean, they're gonna get some momentum behind them, and I'm scared to see how this starts to shake out if they, at the first Clasico, if they're playing and hitting the heights that they are right now. And yeah, that's my talking points for La Liga. I think. Anything else, Vic? You want to give a little bit of a shout out to your Volidoli? You want to give some inspiration real quick?
Dude, guys, come on. I mispronounced your name. You got to win. That doesn't make sense, but I got to get some merch, dude. I've been thinking about Bully Dolly for so long after I said that, and just sound like an idiot. But yeah, I need to get some merch. Let me get some merch.
As a classic right there. Okay. Well, nothing else we're talking about. Let's move it right along to Serie A. Serie A. Okay. So in Serie A, I think the biggest talking point, and I'll talk about them in detail in a little bit. Parma, mamma mia, Parma. They beat Milan 2-1 in style. Pulisic gets the goal for Milan, and that was cool. But the story of the weekend in Serie A was well, look at me, was Parma. And we'll talk about them, like I said, a little bit later. Early goals in the first and second half were enough for Udinese to get it done against our Lazio. The match ends 2-1. Come on, Lazio. You can't be doing that to us. Inter take care of the milkmen of Lecce 2-0. Genoa get it done 1-0 against Monza. And in those kits, as a very good athlete once said, in those kits, they look good, so they feel good, and they feel good, so they play good, and they play good, so they're going to get paid good. Is that what he said? Something like that. Anyway, Fiorentina, that was was he a Cowboy at that point?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't think it was exactly like that, but we'll look into it.
I think he was talking about Genoa while he was talking about that too. So Fiorentina and Venezia play out a 0-0 draw, and I would like to talk about it more, but we can't. They 0-0. Sorry. Torino upset the ATL 2-1 with Che Adams winner. Napoli get back on track in a big way, taking care of Bologna 3-0. It's always better to see a happy Conte down that sideline. I would say I miss it, but I don't. Good for them, though. They lose 3-0. They win 3-0. Let's do this. I don't know how it's going to go. And look, check this out. Whoa is what I have on my notes here. I think the shock of the weekend for sure was Empoli upsetting Roma at the Stadio Olimpico, a stadium that we've been in. And I don't know if it was just bad luck for Roma or what. There was a few opportunities that should have been goals that they just missed. And that happens, right? But against Empoli, against the team that's supposed to be the last team, the team that's definitely getting relegated, maybe these 3 points count a lot towards the end of the season. I don't know. We'll have to bookmark this one in match day 2 and see how that turns out for them. And then today, just kind of like in La Liga, we had a couple other matches that these actually did wrap up the match day 2. Cagliari and Como played, and I believe that was a 1-1 draw. And then we also had Juventus. I was excited for my Verona, the Mastiffs, and they got the ass whooped 3-0. So yeah, didn't turn out in their favor. But Juventus, they're back on track. They're doing good. So okay, well, let's take a look at that table.
Yeah. And as you said, Juventus is doing good, whipping ass, and at number 1. They're the only team with 2 wins so far, so 6 points for them. Underneath them is Internazionale. Inter. Yeah, Inter, followed by Torino and Genoa, rounding out the Champions League top 4. Parma's right underneath them, trying to stay strong, but we will see as the season unfolds. And holding up the table at the bottom like a slab of concrete is Bologna, Como, and Lecce, the milkman Bologna. Como and Lecce. Looks pretty good. And I know, Christian, in case you're listening again, I feel like I always talk to like only you, but hey, your Juventus are top of the table already. I hope you're happy.
Yeah, I got to call it out because I mixed Milan and Juventus in my head. Juventus have won 2 games, both of them 3-0. So they're dominating right now. Of course, they did beat Como and they beat Verona. So, not the best of teams, but we shall see who they got. Let me see. Let me take a peek real quick.
Okay, they're winning like they're supposed to be winning. So
exactly. Let's see. Juve and Roma match day 3. Dang. Okay. Roma is struggling, so we'll see. Maybe it's a good time to get them. But anyway, okay. Well, let's go to some talking points here. We have the first thing I want to talk about again. Parma's first 2 tests as a newly promoted team and you look at your schedule and you have Milan and you have Fiorentina, and they come away with 4 points in those two matches. And I don't think it's not just the results, though. It's the way that they've been playing. And just look at the highlights from this recent game against Milan. They had one-touch passes. They looked like Barca. It was just really, really pretty, really fun to watch. They were kind of dominating. And we talked about them in the preview. Their biggest threat is Dennis Mann, and he's incredible. He's so fun to watch. Really, really good. I don't understand how nobody's seen him, or maybe they don't know that he's good yet. I don't know, but Dennis Mann is amazing. And that team, I mean, they don't look like they just got promoted. They look like they've been there for a while. And of course, I love the kits, sweet ass kits. So yeah, this team is fun to watch. I'm excited to see how Parma does down the stretch. Of course, we're only a couple weeks into this, so man, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this team shapes out. And then on the other hand, we have Fiorentina, who are struggling a bit under the new boss, Palladino. And I know, again, it's only 2 matches, but they just haven't looked great. So it's hard to be excited about that. And maybe by October, all of this is water under the bridge, and we're not really thinking about it anymore. But starting the season playing 2 of the 3 newly promoted teams, you have to expect that they're going to be better than getting out 2 points of those 2 games. I mean, you have to at least be getting 4, but they haven't. So, maybe they just need a little bit more time to gel with the new guy. We'll see. I don't know. Kind of scary. And I talked about how I didn't think Torino, in the preview, I talked about how I didn't think Torino did enough to move the needle to get it going in this season. And they're proving me wrong in the first 2 matches. I already look wrong on this team. They have Milan and Atalanta. They're both on the schedule first, and I think that they probably expected to get 1 point at best. But they get out of there with 4 points going into match day 3. So they're sitting at second in the table. Is that right, Vic?
Yes. Wait, okay. Who? Sorry.
He just said yes for no reason. Torino. I think I have a note here.
You're my boy. I just agree with you.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
No, Torino's third. Sorry, my bad. Third.
Okay, so they're third. Yeah. So they're sitting third in the table after 2 weeks, and that's freaking awesome. So yeah, good job, Torino. Just want to give them a shout out because I didn't think they would be doing too good this season. And then Napoli. Let's talk about Napoli. They're Conte's teams. They usually are pretty good. But they're going to have their ups and downs, and that's exactly what we're seeing. 3 up, they lose 3, they lose 3-0, and then they win 3-0. So again, like I was saying earlier, you don't really know what we're going to get at the very beginning, but I do have to say I am very happy, and I'm sure that all are they called Napoleons? what are people, the people of Napoli called?
We're going to call them Napoleons. No, we're calling them Napoleons.
All right. Well, yeah, don't tell us what it actually is, but if you are a Napoleon, you are definitely excited because whenever whenever Havica Kvaratskhelia went down last week, I thought the way he was acting, it looked like he was like going to be out for the season, or he was going to be out for a very, very long time. But I turned on the game this weekend and he's right there and he's scoring and he's looking great doing it. So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a roller coaster season, but the fact that he's healthy, there's a few more days in this transfer window. So if it closes and Osimhen is there, hopefully he just jumps right back into the team and they start dominating. And I hear the chat going off. What's going on? What are we calling?
Talking shit. Danny P, producing bag, said Neapolitans maybe.
Okay. Neapolitanos. Okay.
Some ice cream. That's all it is.
Some Napoleons.
Yeah.
And the last talking point I have for Serie A this past weekend, Bologna, Roma, Milan have all started with 1 point from the first 2 match days. They've all disappointed in their own different ways. But obviously it's too early to make a judgment. The only issue that I have with these teams is that they all have European matches that are going to be coming soon. And so to start off very bad like they did, they're not carrying a lot of momentum with them into these draws. And so, yeah, it's hard to be excited. Like if you're a team, let's just say, for instance, Bologna, who hasn't been in the European competitions for a while, now they're in the Champions League and they can't even get wins in Serie A. So, yeah, it's not going to be fun for them. And the way that it's looking early this season is that it's going to be a very short-term stay in Europe, I guess is the best way to put that. But who knows? Roma, Milan, we could all turn this around and see what happens. Roma, we know, we just talked about it. They're playing Juve. So yeah, you get a point there, or you get a win, even better. But just show us something, man. Give us some fight. So okay, anything else we need to talk about for Serie? Any shout outs to your boy Christian?
No, I think we've heard his name enough on here. We're good. Yeah. I'm just
All
kidding,
right.
Christian. Get well soon. He's been sick for like 2 months, by the way. He's like always sick. I don't know what it is. So hopefully he's better.
He needs his mama to make him a spaghetti.
Yeah.
That's not fair. I shouldn't have said that. All right. Fine. Okay, well, let's move it along to the Premier League.
The Prem.
All right, let me get my notes situated here. Okay, so we had Brighton, and let's just say Brighton are winning the league, aren't they? Like this, it's just gonna happen. It's crazy. The vibes are great there. They win a close one against Man U 2-1, and the crowd is insane over there at I think it's the Amex, right? So we could feel the intensity through the screen is all I can say. Man, it's been so much fun to watch them this early season. Spurs dominate Everton 4-0. And again, it is dark, dark days in Everton land. Palace dropped their second straight game as they lose to West Ham 2-0. Forest shows Southampton what a real Premier League team looks like, and they get it done 1-0 win for Forest. Fulham weren't fooling around as they beat Leicester 2-1. Their new boy, Emile Smith-Rowe, don't like him, but he gets his first goal in the Premier League for Fulham, and they're off and running this season. City do City things. They take down Ipswich 4-1. Seems like that guy Haaland accidentally scores hat tricks. We were talking about it this weekend. Like he didn't even mean to score that last goal. Like, don't get me started on this.
Just gifted to him all the time.
Arsenal left no doubt in their title aspirations as they get 2 second-half goals to beat Aston Villa 2-0. Bournemouth and Newcastle play out an entertaining 1-1 draw. And would you look at those Newcastle away kits? Oh, my God, chef's kiss. They're so beautiful. Chelsea beat the brakes off of Wolves 6-2. They were taking out some frustration, and Madueke gets his first hat-trick. Madueke gets his first hat-trick, or gets his first hat-trick of this season. He might have had more. I'm sorry. Don't know his game. Not a big Chelsea fan over here. And last but not least, Liverpool beat those Bees of Brentford 2-0 to start off Arne Slot's tenure with 6 points from his first 2 games. Luis Diaz is good. That's my note here. He is good. And he gets the goal and assist in this one. And damn it, tell Salah to grow his hair back because I can't tell who's the guy. They say he scored. I don't believe him. Can't recognize him. Vic, take it away.
The Egyptian. Yeah, and if we take a look at the table, you're going to see Man City. No surprise there on top of the table. 2 wins, and even though they beat up on little Ipswich, you expect to see them up there. Who you don't expect to see up there at number 2 spot is Brighton Hove Albion. They have been looking pretty good this year, pretty stellar, and let's just see if they can keep it up. Number 3 is Arsenal. They've been doing their thing. They had a clear win, never really in danger. Same with Liverpool in the 4th spot. Kind of a clear win, never real danger, and just keep on keeping on. And just outside is Tottenham Hotspur. I'll throw you in there, Adam. Number 5 in the Europa spot, rounding out the top 5. On the bottom of the table, holding it up, is Ipswich Town. And boy, man, what a tough way to join the Premier League than to face Liverpool and then Man City. Like, that sucks. Even though they were Premier League champions for like 2 minutes after they scored that goal, but man, that sucks. Wolves, Chelsea just happened to be playing lights out. Not a good time to have Chelsea just absolutely dominate in a game, especially after playing Arsenal. But Wolves are in the 19th spot. And Everton holding it up on the bottom. What can you say?
Everton.
Worst start in the league. And that includes the newly promoted Ipswich after they took on Liverpool and Man City. And they're still the worst team in the league at this point. I'm sorry, Danny P. It's not looking too bright for you guys.
Well, let's break it down. Let's talk more about not Everton. We'll save them for a second. But let's talk about what happened this weekend in the Prem. Again, like we were talking about for Brighton, they've been, I would say, by far one of the biggest surprises so far this season. We'll say one of the biggest positive surprises so far this season. Everything they seem to do just works out right now. They had smart summer signings. They haven't even been fully integrated into the team yet, but they're already looking like they're in mid-season form. Not to mention their freaking 31-year-old H-Town, hold it down, born coach, Fabian Hösler. He seems to be the real deal. That was a question going into the season. Like, is he actually what they think he is? And so far, yeah, he is. And if you see St. Pauli play this weekend, he was the reason why they were doing good so far. Is what it looks like. I don't want to make any jumpy. I don't want to jump to conclusions just yet, but either way, they're a fun team to watch. And taking a peek at match day 3, they get Arsenal. So Arsenal, Brighton, 6:30 in the morning. I'll have my coffee. I know I'm going to be watching. I'm super interested. I can't wait for that one to see how it turns out. Okay, now let's bring down the mood to somber. Everton, they're going to get relegated, aren't they, Vic?
They might get relegated.
It's
when I first started talking about them, when we did our breakdown, I thought they would be fighting to like stay out of that relegation. But right now, it feels like everybody else is gonna see who the bottom 2 are besides Everton. They haven't looked good. I'm sorry, Daniel. I'm sorry you have to hear this, but yeah, even they have not looked good at all.
You know, in last season, I remember thinking that the only reason they were bad was because of the point deductions they got for the FFP stuff. And I was like, man, if they didn't have those, they would have been so far up the table. And I remember looking at it when we were doing the breakdown, and like if I gave them back those 10 points, they would have been like 2 spots up. So
yeah, like 2 spots
it's not
up.
even a big, like that's not even really a reason. But yeah, I mean, they lost to Arsenal at the end of last season, but before they had lost to Arsenal, they had done like really, really well, going 4 or 5 games, winning 4 or 5 games that included a 2-0 Liverpool win, which is insane to think about now. But ever since then, they just don't look good. They look sloppy. They look bad defensively. And the one thing like that looked really bad was, I mean, of course, Spurs were on their game, so it's hard to say. The body language just looked horrible. Like they were just kind of flopping their arms around. They didn't look like they wanted to be there. And that can't be good for their survival hopes. And I just think the last couple of seasons, they've been kind of staying in the fight and getting it done at the last second. But if it's starting off this way, I mean, we got a long, long season ahead of us.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't look good.
Yeah. And like you said, long season ahead of us. We've got like, 30 something games. I don't know. But like when you look at Ipswich Town play, like they're playing like with a little bit of venom. Like they're the underdogs. We're gonna come out. We're down 3. It doesn't matter. We're gonna go try to score. Wolverhampton, they got scored on 6 times, but they still scored twice. Like they're out there trying to play too. But when you see Everton, it's just weird. It's just hard to
The
like.
vibes are off, right?
Yeah, they're just off.
It's good.
For my boy, yeah, for my boy Daniel's sake, I hope they turn it around, and I do want to, keep seeing them in the Premier League so we can keep this going on. But so far, not good. Let's hope they can turn it around.
Yes, let's stay up, Everton. Let's stay up. Okay, and similar to Everton at the tail end of last season, I thought that Oliver Glasner, Ollie as I call him, he had the Eagles flying high. I said Eagles, I don't know why, but he had Crystal Palace, the Eagles of Crystal Palace, flying high. And whenever we see the stats that we went over in the preview, we talked about how only City, Arsenal, and Chelsea had more points since he took over at Palace. So he was right up there coaching that team to a very high level. But losses to West Ham and Brentford to start this season, my eyebrows are raised. I think a lot of eyebrows are raised because I think maybe losing Olise, Ayew, and Anderson this season is going to be a much bigger deal than we initially thought. And obviously, way too early to have any conclusions about Palace, but I was very high on them going into the season. I thought that maybe they can take that leap getting into those European places. And early this season, yeah, like I'm saying, eyebrows raised. You know that meme, right? Like, I don't know. So yeah, let's pick it up, Palace. And of course, Chelsea are going to be weird all season. City and Arsenal are really good. What else can we talk about? Let's just get to it. I don't think, maybe it's not surprising to Liverpudlians, I think they're called. But they seem to not be feeling the loss of Klopp a lot right now. 6 points, 4 goals for, 0 goals against, 2 clean sheets. I mean, I don't think they're gonna feel that regret right away anyway. It's very apparent that there's just a good club, good players, and Arne Slot seems like he's the guy.
Yeah, he seems to be fitting in. And the one thing I noticed whenever I was watching these games is that they're not as like counterattacking. They're not as fast. They're not as attacking. They're more calculated and everything like that. But the one thing they've really shined on is getting back on the ball, running back on defense. You'll see whenever we're playing the I think there was like they were trying to have like 3 breakaways, and you just see like 5 or 6 Liverpool players just running back on the ball on defense, stopping any kind of counterattack. And it looked really, really good. And if that's any indication of how Arne Slot would run his ball club, hopefully it's a good direction, and we keep those points off the board.
That's I read an article on the Athletic, and I wish I can't remember who wrote it, or else I'd give them a shout out too. Not like they're going to see this, maybe they will, but either way, the article was talking about how Arne Slot has already kind of taken over his identity, his role for the club, because Klopp's type of play was always they called it heavy metal football, just like all out action, all out attack, and that was awesome. But going into this season, everybody was very cautious about how Slot's teams would play because in the VC, his teams, they played more, like you were saying, more tactical, more sound defensively, not as high energy, I guess you would call it, on the attacking front. But the players that they're built for Klopp style of play. So the only thing that I can see kind of turning around is that let's see, who are the 2 matches that they played? Who they play week one?
We played Ipswich and we played the Bees, Brentford.
Okay, right. Yeah, so 2 teams that were bottom half teams last season. So maybe it looks good right now because of the competition. Maybe they're actually this good. We don't know. But all I know is that if they're like the only team in the Prem that doesn't sign any players and they have a new coach, it's a long season. Obviously, they have another transfer window in January, but this fall it could get ugly if they don't, if they don't hold the same type of, they don't run the same type of games against the better teams. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good. And one more thing, just before we get off Liverpool here, and I swear this will be the last thing, but one of the things they talked about, how last year we would always be playing from behind. The away team or whoever we were playing always scored first, so we had the most points from a losing position by far last year in the Prem. So one of the things Slot wanted to focus on was not falling behind, and you can kind of see that in the play, how we're more calculated. And we do have a couple of flashes of that offense that we had. I think in the 60th minute, Salah ran just an arc around the 18-yard box, passing in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and leading to a shot with an assist from McAllister, but it was blocked. But you can see just little flashes of that offense that we still have out there, and it was pretty nice.
Yeah, in that same article, I forgot to mention, he talked about how he has his style of play, but whenever you go to Liverpool, there's an expectation for an attacking type of play. And he's like, I'm not, essentially saying he's not ignorant to that. Like, he knows what's up, and they're going to play a little bit of a mixture of the two. So yeah, so far so good. Looking at when's the next big match they play, like against a bigger club?
We do play Man U next. So
okay, I mean, they're not,
look at that. They just lost to Brighton, so who knows? But
okay, Brighton are Brighton are good.
Right.
Okay,
well, we play Man U next.
So. Exactly. We're gonna get a lot of answers. We have Brighton, Arsenal, we have Liverpool, and Man U. So let's see. This match day 3 is gonna be fun. Okay. Well, I think we've said it all about this match day 2. Let's see. No other talking points. Anything else we need to talk about? Do we need to talk about Everton some more? Do we talk about Spurs some more?
We can keep talking about Liverpool if you want. I don't mind.
Of course we can. No, I think that's it. That'll do it for match day 2. This is the European reach around. Future states of this, we're going to have more graphics. We're going to have more music. We're going to have more video, hopefully, and images. But we wanted to at least get a feel for how this is and how you guys like it as the consumers of this information, of this what is this called? Media, I guess we'll call it. Because there's going to be a lot of ways that we're going to get this info to you. Again, we started this because it's all stuff that I wanted to hear, stuff that Vic wanted to hear. We wanted a podcast that we can kind of come in and recap stuff in a cool, fun way. That's done in pretty much every other sport in America except for this sport. And there's just so much to go on that goes on in the European soccer seasons, European football seasons, if you will. and we want to cover it. We want to do it right. We want to make sure that you guys are getting the content. That's the word I was looking for. Yes, that you need and that you want. So we appreciate it, and please give us some advice on what you want to see in the comments below. And if you think we didn't get your team right, tell us. You know your team better than us. Hit us up. Let us know what's going on. Okay, Vic, I think that's all I need to say. You want to take us home?
Sure thing. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Again, like Snooze said, let us know if we got anything wrong and what you would like to see in the future. We do want to get some more content out for you, just like some look aheads for the next match day, and of course we'll be doing match day recaps and everything, just
the
like Snooze just
European reach around.
Yeah. Yeah, we will talk to y'all soon, and thank you guys for spending some time with us, and we'll see you.
Peace.